And action.
Hey, so I'm wondering what my options are for feeding Trash Panda R.
Okay. So, Robin, well, Arnie, do you know what your options are for feeding your baby?
I know I can breastfeed or I can give formula, but I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, so breastfeeding means doing what we've just practiced doing right now, and it looks like the baby's doing really, really well with that. But how are you feeling about breastfeeding? Do you feel comfortable with what you're doing right now, or how do you think that you would be able to handle with that?
I think I'd be okay going forward now that we've had a really long discussion about that.
Okay.
But I was really nervous at first. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it.
Okay. So in the case that maybe, if as time goes on, you start to kind of feel like maybe you want to work with another alternative, do you feel like that might be a possibility for you then going forward?
I think if I ever became uncomfortable, I feel like I could talk about other options, but right now I do want to try to breastfeed if possible.
Okay. Well, so then we'll go ahead and continue with that, but just so that you understand what your other options are, we'll kind of go through that. You have more, like a lot of people think that you have either breastfeeding or you have formula, and you do have more options than that. Breastfeeding obviously is going to give you a chance to have that bonding experience with your baby, and it also helps to heal everything that you need to heal after giving birth, and it helps the baby to regulate its immune system. We'll say it's a she. It helps to regulate her immune system, and she does really well with it too. So you have a nice little give and take back and forth hormonally as well as emotionally when you're able to breastfeed. But if that's not something that's realistic for you, then pumping is also an option. You can pump and then use bottles to feed, and the pros to that is that other people can help you out when it comes to feeding the baby. So what are your plans for, returning to work? Are you going to be returning to work, and when, and all that kind of stuff?
I am going to have to go back to work probably around the 8-week mark. Okay. Hopefully. That's my plan.
Yeah.
And it sounds like my employer has a spot that I can go if need be.
Okay.
I'm just not sure how I'm going to be able to continue breastfeeding or if I'm going to have to swap over to formula at that point.
Okay. So yeah, at that point you can even now while you're breastfeeding pump in between. If right now your baby's going to be cluster feeding a lot, and you may not find that that's really as realistic, but as time goes on over the weeks, you can start to begin making a store of milk already. And so while you're pumping, you can use your own milk rather than having to go to the store and buy it. Then that you can use that in the bottles to go ahead and feed the baby, and whoever is watching the baby while you're not able to be there can take care of it. And what you'll want to do then too is make sure that you're pumping at the same intervals that your baby has been eating at. So whenever you're used to feeding your baby is when you'll want to pump while you're at work and you're not away, you're not with your baby. Okay. So you want to make sure that you let your employer know that this is what the schedule is and this is what you need. By law, they have to give you that space. That's nice. Yeah, so they have to be able to give you a space that is not the bathroom. Like a conference room is fine. It just needs to be able to be private and a space for you to use when you need it. So you do have that option.
That sounds like a great option.
Yeah, and if for some reason that's not an option, you have another one that is a little bit more beneficial to the baby than actual formula, and that's going and getting donor milk. So you can get donor milk from hospitals or other places to use, because that's going to be a lot more beneficial for the baby's gut flora and the baby's digestive system. There are no risks to using donor milk, and there are some risks to using formula. So that's going to be probably a little more, not more ideal, but it is a little more ideal option for you rather than doing formula. Formula is an option. If you can't do all those other things, it is an option. But that's something that, you want to make sure that you're aware of. How do you feel about that so far?
So far, I feel really good. I feel like I have a better understanding of what my options are, and I feel like if I do need any more help, I can come to you if I need to.
Okay, yeah, and we'll just kind of continue to revisit and see how you're feeling about it and make sure that you're feeling good with it and that you're feeling positive about it, because that's what it should be. It should be a positive experience. However you decide to feed your baby, it needs to be a positive, happy experience, not a hard thing to get through. And it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be feeling pain with it, emotionally or physically. Okay?
I appreciate that.
Great.